Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Bob Pompeani here, manning the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We do it 7 nights a week. As a reminder, you can always call 412-575-2600. Hit us up on Twitter at KDPomp, at the Pony Express. Andrew Fillipponi up at the Fan. I'm going to start you off with a tweet tonight, Andrew, to change things up. This is from Eugene, who says, congratulations. They have taken a lifelong baseball fan, a diehard Pirate fan, and successfully driven me away, sadly. I think permanently. I am broken. 1 in 5, a 164 team batting average, 10 strikeouts a game, and no offense to speak of. That's what will happen.
Yeah, and you get Shane Bosd. You gave him up in the Chris Archer deal as the player to be named later. He had a career high in strikeouts. You call up one of your top prospects, Thomas Harrington, and honestly, I thought the kid looked rattled. It didn't look like he was ready to be a major league pitcher. He's a command guy. He had no idea where the ball was going. He was walking people. He wasn't striking them out. He was giving up home runs. So it was not really a good debut, a very forgettable debut for him. And it just adds to the agony to start the year. I mean, so many blunders. O'Neal Cruz again defensively to start the game, where you have Greg Brown on the radio broadcast saying things like Cruz lazily throws the ball back in. So it's dreadful, Bob. And look, I mean, it's not like the Braves' slow start or the Brewers' slow start where you give them the benefit of the doubt, or the Twins. This is a team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2015, and it's a management group that really hasn't been competitive since 2020, since when they took over. So it's not going to get any better. I mean, Paul Skeens tomorrow, which is always fun. I love watching him pitch, but then after that, the torpedoes, man, the torpedoes, because here come the Yankees for 3 games at PNC Park.
May be rain in the forecast, as Ray Pellin has told us all week. That may be the best thing going for the Pirates here. Yeah, you hate to see that for opening weekend, but at the same time, the way they're playing, my goodness, 1 in 5, not hitting with runners in scoring position, doing everything fundamentally wrong. Tommy Pham has been awful. They brought him in at $4 million. What's he done? Nothing is the answer.
Play Canario. Bring up the guy with big power. I mean, we had a prospect expert on our show today who basically said he thought Canario had more power than anybody in the Pirates organization.
Well, then he should be.
The problem is he strikes out a lot.
So what?
He strikes out a lot, but when he runs into a ball, he hits it a long way. And I'm with you. We hit a grand slam against the Pirates a couple of years ago. Right. I'd like to see a guy like that get a shot than a 37-year-old has been.
Absolutely, and I think that's the whole thing. I have to throw this in real quick because Steph Curry is embarking on a record. 12 three-pointers made out of 17 attempts tonight. Just throwing this in because the all-time record is 14 by one of his teammates, his old teammates, Klay Thompson. So he scored over 50 tonight in a wild game against the Memphis Grizzlies. That's aside. Now let's talk about what happened today down in Florida, where Art Rooney intimated things are getting closer, that Aaron Rodgers should be here, or at least he's trending in that direction. Still nothing official, but this sounds to me like maybe something's already been consummated, although there are a lot of people think that, you know, Aaron's just playing games and maybe still waiting for Minnesota. I don't know what to think anymore, Andrew.
Well, I've never heard Art talk like that about a free agent. They broke their own family rule today. The whole thing has always been we comment on our players and not available players or someone else's players. And I've never heard the owner of the Steelers go so in-depth or so expansive on somebody that didn't play for them. You know, in fact, he usually doesn't talk so often or so in-depth on guys on his own roster. So I just thought that was so peculiar. It made me feel like that he knows something is either going to happen or something has happened and they're waiting to announce it. Like the whole world here in Pittsburgh thinks that it's going to happen at the McAfee event. And the longer this drags on, Bob, honestly, the more I think it is going to happen at the McAfee event next week, because the way Tomlin giggled about this and laughed about Rodgers yesterday, it was like he had a secret, but he wasn't allowed to tell anybody about it. And then Art today saying all signs are positive, you know, talking about how the Metcalf thing is a clue or a step in the right direction, you know, even going as far as to talk about, oh, the meeting, we were getting into Greenfield because of Mike McCarthy. It's just everything is so funny, ha-ha, and so lighthearted with Rodgers. And I felt like if it wasn't going to happen or if they were nervous about it happening, they wouldn't be so quick to comment on the state of the negotiations.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. But again, he said they're not going to wait forever is another one of his quotes. By the way, Ben Roethlisberger says that Aaron Rodgers would be a significant increase in the offensive production that he sees here.
He also said he thinks he's waiting on Minnesota.
Well,
he said he thinks that's the hang-up here.
I think Minnesota may decide at some point, hey, we have a lot riding on this season. Can we trust J.J. McCarthy all in 1 year when he hasn't played? I don't know. That's going to be one of the things. We'll see. We got to go to break. When we come back, open up the phone calls at 412-575-2600. You're watching the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. All right, this is our Xfinity Mobile tweet of the night, and it's from, you can see, Alex Ovechkin. TSN provides this one. He is just 4 away from Gretzky's record. You know, Andrew, it's pretty amazing when you consider that he has 38 goals this year, and he missed 25 games with an injury that I thought would make it almost impossible for him to even come close to this. But Ovechkin got another night. He's leading the Capitals to the best record in the NHL, and here they are. What a story.
Well, let me say this about Alex Ovechkin. I think it's possible it happens here in Pittsburgh. It's not a coincidence. That's game 82. Gary Bettman told us that when he came on our show, that the schedule makers did that on purpose to try to add drama to him chasing that record and possibly pitting him against Sidney Crosby in an effort to break the record on the last game of the season. So good job by them with that. Bob, I like Alex Ovechkin now. I never thought I'd say that, but what put me over the top was what he did for Marc-Andre Fleury the other night. He organized that whole thing. It was like a line after a playoff series where they all went up to Flower for his final game against the Capitals. And I think Ovechkin's just fun. He respects the game now. He doesn't take cheap shots at guys like he did with Gonchar and Malkin back in the day. And I just respect what he's done, his longevity, being able to basically score from the same spot on the power play for 20 years. Everybody knows it's coming, and they still can't consistently stop it. So, yeah, he plays for an arch rival, but I find myself actually rooting for Alex Ovechkin now to break this record.
Oh, I always have. I respect talent. He's always had the talent, and whether or not you liked him or hated him because of what he did here, I always ask people, what would he do if he was on your team? You'd respect it. I still respect it. What he did for Fleury was outstanding. Yeah, he does respect the game. He respects Sidney Crosby and the relationship they've had over the years. So that also happens with age, and you mature and you become more engaged in some of those little things that maybe you took for granted when you were younger. All right, let's go to the phone lines at 412-575-2600. We're going to begin with Wayne in Allison Park. Wayne, you are on. Number one Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call. My question's about the Pirates, and you know, they've been looking to fill a hole at first base for as long as I can remember. Yeah. We've got a guy who's failed at shortstop, who plays center field with a meat cleaver. And my question is, why do they not consider O'Neill Cruz for a first baseman?
I mean, you could have made that argument for Brian Reynolds. You could have made it for Matt Gorski. You could have made it for Andy Rodriguez consistently. You could have made it for Henry Davis. They have none. Now, Horwitz, I have no idea what to expect from him, but he was the guy they thought. But they knew at the time he had an existing injury, Andrew. I don't know when he's going to come back or how effective he will be, but this chase is going on way too long for first baseman, and it's because they don't want to go out in free agency and spend money on a legitimate first baseman. This offseason, I couldn't believe that the best move they made was Tommy Pham. That was it. You could argue Horwitz, okay, but that's nothing for a team that was dead last in just about every offensive category last year.
Yeah, I thought Josh Bell was pretty good for a few years there. He almost, was the first Pirate to hit 40 home runs in a season since Stargell when he went to the All-Star game and was in the home run derby, but that was only for 3 or 4 years. But overall, though, you're right. I mean, it's usually an expensive position to find in free agency because it's a power position. So you've got to draft a guy over there, and they haven't been willing to do that. They've been trying to move guys over to that position, and the reason why they won't do Cruz is because they don't want to give up on Cruz's athleticism. If his running ability, his arm, you eliminate both of those things if you move him over to first base. But what I would say back to that is, yes, he might have extremely strong athletic traits, but how does he harness those traits? It's so inconsistent, it's so erratic, Bob, that one night he helps you win a game defensively, and then the next night he loses a game for you defensively. It's all over the map. It was that way at shortstop. And the early returns in center field are the same exact thing.
Yeah, it's all fundamental. It's just attention to detail kind of stuff. Let's go to Matt in Butler, who joins us tonight right here on the Sports Call. Hello, Matt.
Hey, guys. Hey, your stats that you guys raffled off on the Pirates were great stats. I'll add one. They haven't had a walk in over 20 innings. Do you think at some point this season they're going to fire the manager if this continues, and if so, how long?
My gut would tell me no, only because they haven't done it and they extended him recently, so my gut would tell me no.
Wow.
Should they? Probably yes.
I'm shocked by that.
Or you're shocked by they extended him? I mean,
no, I'm shocked to hear you say that they wouldn't have at some point this season.
Well, it depends on how it goes. I'm saying it's 6 games. I think you have to wait and see how it goes. Their intention is not to do that right now, nor is it to remove Ben Cherington. You can argue that should have been happening this past offseason. I'm just saying, since they are entrenched, I don't see this. If it does happen, it won't happen anytime in the next couple of months. Do you? Unless they go 1-35 or something.
I think it's very possible that it could happen in May, or maybe even at the end of April. I don't think that's out of the question, depending on how, for Shelton.
Well,
I think Cherington.
What do you think? Do you actually believe they would do that?
Well, I mean, they fired Clint Hurdle and Neil Huntington and Frank Coonley with a lot of years and money left on their contracts.
They paid that money. I don't think they want to do it again, is my point. Their trend in how they spend would tell me they're not going to do it this time around.
Well, then, we've said this a million times with the Pirates, then why even play the game? Just if it's a game of Monopoly, fold the board up, put the pieces and money away, and just go home. If you're unwilling to do stuff like that. I mean, you're not paying the manager that much money. He's one of the lowest paid managers in all of baseball. To the best of everyone's knowledge, even though no one releases this information, which is silly to me, he's only got another year left on his contract. So you're telling me you can't eat $2 million or whatever it is?
You think it's 1 year? I thought it was 2 more after this.
I thought after this year he only had 1 left.
Okay, whatever.
But, hey, maybe
you're right, though. We should know what this is. It should be public knowledge, basically, when you're talking about guys in charge. We know it in every other sport, it seems. So
yeah, I mean, they won 76 games in back-to-back seasons. They can't be happy with the job he's done.
No, can't be.
They don't look like a well-coached team. They don't look like they care some nights. O'Neal Cruz goes through the motions. They strike out looking constantly. Again, the process with the way they handled Bednar and the bullpen thing is just mind-boggling. I'm happy that they sent him down so he can work out the kinks and maybe get his head right and his confidence back. But, Bob, they've won 1 game, and Derek Shelton thought just a few days ago David Bednar was the best guy to do that job. And now just a few days later, he's not even good enough to be on the team?
Well, this goes back to my point about, when they had Kyle Nicholas. Kyle Nicholas is not up here only because he has 3 options remaining, and that's the wrong reason. To me, he earned his spot on this roster based on what he did last year. I know he could be wild, but who isn't on that team right now?
Well, right. I mean, your beggars can't be choosers with their bullpen. But the point I'm making is, if they're of the opinion that you can't overreact to 5 games or 6 games, and it's too early, you just sent your 2-time All-Star closer to the minor leagues based on, 3 outings? I mean, that's insane. You want to talk about small sample size?
But it's a carryover from last year. No, it's not. It's a bigger sample size.
I agree, but they've tried to pretend.
He has a 7.66 ERA. That's not small. That's a big sample size.
I agree, but with everything else, they're trying to say small sample size. With everything else, they're trying to say too soon, pump the brakes. And obviously, Derek Shelton thought enough of David Bednar just a few days ago that when he needed 3 outs to win a game, he went to him. So that's just, to me, a mixed message right there.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand it, but I think in Bednar's case,
if they were worried about David Bednar, he should have been pitching in the 6th or 7th inning to start the year, and then if he stunk at that, then you send him down.
Well, I mean, this also
one
carried
extreme
into
to the other.
Spring training. He did not have a good spring training either, so it was a continuation of 2024 into spring training into now. So he definitely needs to go down and work on his things, and hopefully he can figure it out. One more call before we go to break, and that would be Brad in Brookline. Hello, Brad. How are you?
Hey guys, just a few points if I may. 6 years of a rebuild, and we got guys like Tommy Pham, G1 Bay, IKF.
How about Adam Frazier? All due respect, come on.
Adam Frazier. What about the farm system? They got no bats.
No bats. They have a lot of arms, no bats, and they have 6 years of drafts and other moves they could have made. and they haven't done it. Now, Joey Bart was a good move by Ben Schering. Good for that. That's, you know, he got something out of him. At least he did last year. We'll see what happens this year. And maybe this guy that they got from the Mets, Andrew, is going to be good for them. I agree with what you said. Given how they are right now, just stick him out there in left field and let him play. And don't bother about Tommy Pham's contract. I don't care. You spent the money, it's already gone.
I mean, think about this. In 6 years, really, the only good hitters, and I'm going to put good in air quotes, that Ben Cherington has acquired are Jack Sawinski in the Adam Frazier trade back in the day and Joey Bart. That's it. Mm-hmm. There's nobody else who's proven since 2020, Bob.
No, and that's
and Sawinski got sent to the minors and got benched and isn't even really playing every day now.
All right, we're due for a break. We'll come back with more right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. It's live 7 nights a week, KDKA Plus, and most nights 93.7 The Fan. All right, Ken Rice is standing by with a preview of what's going on tonight at 11 o'clock on KDKA-TV. Ken?
Tonight, Bob, we're going to tell you why local gun stores taking extreme measures to prevent a break-in. Plus, Pittsburgh's making the next steps in preparations for the NFL draft coming here next year. And Ray Petlin is tracking storms as we speak, all coming up next at 11.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for the next 5 days weather-wise. Claudia in Apollo is up next. Claudia, go ahead.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. One is I've noticed teaching that high schools come to the elementary schools to recruit for basketball. Then they recruit for college. And now college students are getting paid to play. And now they're able to leave and enter the portal, which I think is only allowing those schools that pay to play and have the money to have the better teams, like the Yankees.
We're almost out of time, Claudia, so I get your point, and you're right. And Pitt lost another guy today, Jalen Lowe, who's their best player, and that's just the way it is at this point. If you don't have the funds to keep people at times, you're not going to be able to do that. However, you can still go into that portal and shop, not unlike you're going to Costco or whatever, Andrew, and come away with guys who can make your team. I look at Louisville this year as a prime example. They didn't necessarily go out and break the bait, but they were really good at what they did.
I mean, Jeff Capel would have been fired if he didn't go in the portal and get Burton and Elliott and Hinson and those guys who got him in the tournament a couple of years ago, Bob.
All right, Pony, as always, appreciate it. We'll see you again later this week.
See you, Bob.
All right, that's going to do it. For Andrew Fillipponi, I'm Bob Pompeani. Got a lot of vowels right there. We'll see you tonight at 11 on KDKA.